if somebody is to do one activity outside, I would recommend walking, because this is how the human was created. We are creatures which evolved by walking, and our brain, everything works the best while we walk. When I'm outside, when I'm with the nature, when I hear the sound of the leaves, when I hear the sound of my feet going on the ground, nature is healing abilities. And in my case, I also started to walk barefoot, having even more connection to the earth.
Welcome back to the 10 Adventures podcast. Today we're talking with Pawel Durakiewicz, a multiple Guinness World Record holder who 8 years ago was in the depths of alcohol addiction and decided to change his life with the help of the outdoors. Hi, Pavel. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Richard. It's good to see you.
I'm really excited to hear about your story because you've done all these really wild things. The first thing is you just got another world record recently for running a marathon barefoot on ice. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. I became the first person to run the full marathon on ice barefoot. Before me, there were a couple of guys who did it in sandals. One of them was Wim Hof. And Wim Hof is somebody I looked up to. I practiced his methods of breath and cold exposure. So 1 month ago, I ran marathon barefoot on ice. It took me 5 hours. It was an easy task, and I know now why nobody did it before me. But it was a beautiful adventure. Beautiful adventure. My feet were okay even after 5 hours on ice. The only thing which was problematic were my toes. I mean, they got shattered by ice. There was no much frostbite, but yeah, that was a little bit of a problem with open wounds running on the ice. But it was a big challenge, probably one of the biggest ones I had in my life. Talking about extreme sports, it was my Guinness World Record number 4.
It just seems incredible to I've walked on snow and ice when I'm backcountry skiing and you got to go leave the hut or something. And it's cold for like 1 minute. I couldn't imagine doing it for 5 hours. How do you get the mental toughness to be able to handle it's painful for a minute. It must be excruciating for 5 hours.
Yeah, it is but the preparation for this event, it took me 2 years. And we probably will talk about this. My first Guinness World Record was walking for 5 months and 20 days barefoot, walking 3,410 kilometers. And that was already part of the preparation for the I can say, for the marathon I did 1 month ago. And I started to walk barefoot 7 years ago. And I live in Sicily, on a countryside, and I mainly walk barefoot. I mean, everywhere. So whenever I must put shoes on, then I do it. Like, when I go to a restaurant or maybe visit bigger cities, Palermo. But besides that, like, I'm mainly barefooter. So I go on all different types of terrain, all different types of weather. When it's cold in Sicily, when it's let's say it's never below zero, but 8 degrees Celsius, I go barefoot. I go on the rain and all different kinds of the hot cement. So my feet are prepared for those kind of challenges. However, I feel it's cold. Like, when I started, like this marathon was in this extreme weather because it was 5 or 6 degrees above Celsius. But 2 months before I ran on the February, I ran half marathon, which was considered one of the toughest winter half marathons on ice. And it was minus 10 degrees Celsius on the frozen Baltic Sea, and it was painful. It was from the beginning, it was painful. And in the full marathon also was painful. But I mean, it's it's a little bit of the mental preparation and dealing with the pain and dealing with your mind, who is telling you to stop, who is telling you that you are going to hurt yourself, and like not following it. And I have this ability throughout all different types of work I do with myself, which includes meditation, yoga, long walks, breathing exercises, that I kind of have this ability not to be told by my mind what to do. I can a little bit ignore what my mind says and do my own way. And in those events, extreme sports, is just you have to. Your mind is gonna tell you, okay, you're gonna hurt yourself. You have to stop, and I mean this is perfectly normal because that's why we have our mind, our brain, like to protect us from dangers, for us to survive. But you can turn it off. You can turn it off. It's possible, and then when your mind know that your will is stronger than the mind, then the mind will stop. The mind will stop, and then will adjust to the to the way you want to do it. Like you kind of take your mind on a leash, and of course, it wasn't healthy. Running 5 hours on ice. But it wasn't like it wasn't. I didn't feel any danger. Like I knew I was going through the pain. I was going to feel a lot of pain. I was prepared for that, and I also knew that like I'm not gonna have my toes amputated or anything like that. But it's not stupid because I mean I I was prepared. And when I ran a half marathon 2 months before, I had nothing on my feet for those below 2 hour run. So my feet, my toes, everything was perfect. So I checked that on the. I did the half marathon, then I decided to do the full marathon. But yeah, it was. It's this kind of extreme sports. It's kind of like testing your willpower against your mind. That's what it is at the end.
Let's go back 8 years when you also had to test your willpower, and you wrote that you were in the depths of an alcohol addiction and on the verge of life and death. What happened to make you decide to change your life and stop drinking?
I was at the point when I was very close to considering drinking myself to death, and the really green light, which I can see that it was a grace. I was thinking about my children, that I had two small kids, Pavel and Michał. They were at the time 3 and 1 year old, and I said like, if I don't want to live for myself, because I didn't feel worth living at the time. Like I was tired of suffering and tired of like life, and was in the pain, which alcohol would just stop for short periods of time, and then I was back. But then I said, okay, I'm not gonna do it for myself. If I do it for my children, and there was this little light which I felt, and which helped me to get out of very dark place I was in. So I decided to fight for myself, for the children.
And it seems like the outdoors and mindfulness, yoga, meditation were all parts of your journey to beat alcohol addiction. But is that actually how you were able to embrace sobriety?
First, I went to a treatment center, but then in the center it was for 4 weeks. I was only talking from 9 to 5 o'clock. It was just talking about you being an alcoholic, like kind of learning skills, or learning why you are an alcoholic. But it was missing something. Like it was only working with your mind, not with my body, not with my soul. So then after I did. Yeah, I went to the Alps, and I walked for 1,000 kilometers in the Alps, from the north to the south, from the south to the north, the whole Alps. And shortly after, it took me 35 days, and shortly after I went for travel, kind of trying to look for myself, for my reason of being in this world, for life. And then I went to a yoga and meditation school in Mexico, and then I spent there 3 months, and that experience helped me a lot. And after that experience, I decided to open a addiction center based on yoga, meditation, and therapy. And yeah, I can say that yoga, meditation, and nature saved my life at the yeah very end, and made me who I am now.
What do you think is it about time outdoors and yoga that was so impactful for you?
If somebody is to do one activity outside, I would recommend walking, because this is how the human was created. How we evolved. We are creatures which evolved by walking, and our brain, everything works the best while we walk. That's why, for example, I feel like I have the best conversations with people while I walk. When I'm outside, when I'm with the nature, when I hear the sound of the leaves, when I hear the sound of my feet going on the ground, bird sounds. Nature is very has very very healing abilities. And in my case, I also started to walk barefoot, having even more connection to the earth, to our planet. And I think, yeah, we were created like as a part of the nature, and for us to get better in general is to go back to the nature.
Last year, you walked 3,410 kilometers barefoot, with part of it on the Camino de Santiago to raise funds for help children. Can you talk a little bit about that journey? Because it just seems an enormous distance to go barefoot.
Yeah, it took me 5 months and 20 days. On average, I was walking around 20-25 kilometers barefoot. I've started in the hottest summer in the history. I was 37, 38 degrees. So first days was a very big challenge, because my feet were exposed to extreme high temperature of the asphalt, of the cement, and that was very demanding. And then I actually start to run to lower the exposure to the asphalt. But it was a beautiful journey. I started it in Perpignan, France. Then I walked through the Pyrenees, and then I got into the Frances El Camino and walked it all the way to Santiago de Compostela. So there was over, like, I think 1,600 kilometers on El Camino. Then from Santiago de Compostela, I walked down El Camino through Portugal. So the other way around, like normally you go from the south to the north. I went from the north to the south, and I walked throughout the whole Portugal, and then to the south of Spain. And it was a beautiful journey. I spent so much time with myself, on average 10, 12 hours.
You wrote about that journey. My psychological pain was transformed to physical pain, which I could stop at will.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that? How could you do that?
Normally, when I was addicted to alcohol, and I think I'm not the only one who is addicted. There's so much pain inside. There was so much pain inside of me that I couldn't stop. I was suffering, and I didn't know what to do to lower the pain, or to stop it. There was nothing, and there was so much pain. And then you have no completely idea how to stop it. And while I was walking barefoot and I felt the pain, then I could stop it at any time at my will. I just stop, and and the pain would just go away. And I was comparing it to when I was addicted, then I could not stop that. Then I also, yeah, compared that, this kind of a pain, getting out of the addiction, and already was much harder than any of my Guinness World Record attempts.
You also talk about how overcoming addiction is about transformation. And I was wondering, like, can you talk more about that, and like how do you transform as you overcome addiction?
That's why yoga and meditation, it's very helpful in being outdoors, because you get the time to get to know yourself. Normally, I noticed that I was just escaping from myself. I didn't like myself. I didn't have respect for myself, and the addiction I had was just to get as far away from myself, my true self, as I could. And overcoming addiction is, in my perspective, trying to get closer to yourself, trying to understand yourself. So you have to spend the time. I had to go to the suffering, to rediscovering myself, and not being afraid to be with myself. I think that's the most important thing, that uh, for me, overcoming addiction was coming into the peace with who I am, who I'm not, and all those trips, for example, like thousands of hours walking barefoot on El Camino, it helped me to get in touch with myself, with my soul, with my mind, and putting everything together, and then also I started to understand that, like, we are living our life inside of us. We are not living outside. However we perceive an outer environment, it doesn't really have that much influence as inside of us. Things can change, like, weather can change, things, like, but it's all about how we perceive things, makes us how we feel. And this is what I understood, that, yeah, everything is inside of me.
You opened an addiction treatment center in Sicily, and you're kind of transforming that now to anyone who wants treatment to change their life. Can you talk a little bit about that change, and what did you learn from treating addiction issues for people who just want to change their life but don't have addiction?
I ran the center for last 5.5 years, and it was a place where I lived, the place when I worked, the place when I had relationships, and it was a beautiful experience for me. Like, we helped, like, hundreds of people, but at some point, like, I said, okay, this is it's really as much as I can do. And I also noticed that you don't have to be addicted in order, like, call yourself an alcoholic or whatever, like, to get lost in this world. There's so much noise, too much activity, so much stress. The people right now are losing themselves. They don't know where they are and who they are, and so on. And then the addiction center was here to help, to find your soul. I mean, the alcoholism is a disease of your mind, soul, and body. And in order to get out of that, or in order to get better from trauma or something else, you have to take care of all of three of them. And at this addiction center, we offer yoga, meditation, of course, as a therapy as well. Now I want, I mean, everybody who is going through the difficult situation, who is, I mean, living, for example, in a big city, not being in any contact with the nature, feeling lonely, trying to find a place where you can find yourself. Yeah, that's probably when you can find through yourself, throughout experiencing nature and yoga and meditation. So this is a part of what I'm doing now. The other part is that we are organizing, and this is why I did all of those Guinness World Records, to raise money to help children, by organizing free camps for children from orphanages, from disadvantaged families. So we bring the kids from Poland. Actually, last year we organized 4 camps. This year we are doing at least 4 camps as well. We already did one. The next one is coming next month. Yeah, this is pretty much the work I'm doing now. So holistic center for the adults, and then helping the kids.
It sounds great. I think one thing I talked with a recent guest about is how kids are losing this connection with nature, and they're spending time playing vids or on their phones, and just being disconnected, being out with the people they care about, being out with friends in nature, and just discovering like the feeling of, testing your body and feeling exhausted, breathing clean air, running around and just exploring. I feel like it's so important. And I even with my kids, I notice when we go backpacking, they really calm down. And part of it, we exhaust them by walking in the mountains day after day. But part of it, I think there's just something about nature that it gets rid of all this stimulation we have in our day to day life. And yeah, I think what you're doing sounds really incredible.
Yeah, I can elaborate on that. Just this week, we had the children from this facility. Those kids, they have children, parents, but they're not able to raise them. So they get into this facility. I was informed that more than 50% of those kids, age 11 to 13, they're already on antidepressants. So, I mean, this is like, I, I don't know. For me, it's the psychological situation of the kids right now in today's world is it's so bad. Part of the reason why I decided to do the foundation was there was a report done on psychological condition of the kids in Poland based on 200,000 kids, and some of the findings was that 40% of the kids already thought about committing suicide. One in fourth kids in Poland, or fifth, one in five already tried some kind of a suicide. Like 25% they cut themselves. Like I mean, uh, it's terrible because of the technology, because of the food we eat, because of the air we breathe, because of the inactivity the kids have. Like and. Yeah, yeah. The only way for the kids to get out of this is to bring them back to the nature and to turn off the technology as much as we can.
There was another quote of yours that I found really interesting. I wonder if maybe you can elaborate on it. You write, "You are a miracle to be discovered, not a problem to be fixed." What does that quote mean to you?
When we are born, we are so curious about the world, like we are so innocent, and yeah, we're just trying to like see the world, the beauty, everything, and then the adults start talking, and then they tell us that we cry, that what we are doing it's not right, that you do, yeah, they're just telling us that we're causing all these problems. We're not eating like we should, we're not sleeping, we're not like there's something wrong always with us, and by the time you're 6 or 7, you're not thinking about yourself that you are like worthy, that you are a beautiful soul, that you're a miracle. You're thinking about yourself as you are a problem to be solved, and this is because of how our early life is structured. But at the end, we are a miracle to be discovered because I mean, human nature is so great, so beautiful. I mean, we're capable of so many things. And, when I wake up every day, I'm thinking about three things I'm grateful for that day. And I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I mean, it's really, I mean, beautiful things can happen. You never know. And I mean, the options are unlimited. Like, you don't know who you're going to meet, who you're going to talk to. I mean, what kind of weather, what kind of sun you're going to see, what kind of animal maybe, or other person. Yeah, yeah. And then I think this is how we should treat ourselves. Like, not think that there is so much things wrong with me, and then that yeah, I'm not doing this right, and I'm not intelligent, I'm not beautiful. I think this should be natural for us, that we should think every single time about ourselves that we are a miracle to be discovered. There's so many things, and like we are beautiful minds, and this is the main thing about the foundation. We want to give to the kids the information that they are not the problem. I mean, same to the adults, that they are not a problem to be fixed, but a miracle to be discovered, and treat themselves as diamonds, as very expensive, very worthy things.
It's interesting just to hear all this insight you have, Pavel. For people that are listening and, maybe they're worried about, their own addiction, or they feel like they're in a rut and they need, they want to change, or they feel they need to change. What's kind of maybe the first step that they should take to embark on this journey?
Go for a daily walk. Start whatever, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Make it to 45 minutes per day and walk every day for a few weeks, and it's gonna help. This is for me. This is the first step to get to feel better. And when you walk, just listen to the nature. Don't take the phone with you. Don't take anything like on your earplugs or anything like that. That this is the very first step. And try to think about yourself that like it's you are, yeah, you are a miracle. Even though if you are in a deep dark place at the moment, like the beautiful things can happen like to you. Like I was in a dark place. I was not able to do any sports, considering committing a suicide, and now I'm 46. I just finished my fourth Guinness World Record. Like I'm the best shape of my life. And I never thought it could be possible, like 8 years ago, but it is. So I think it's possible for anybody, no matter where you are right now. and how bad you feel. And then if you do this, the walking recommendation, then there are other steps you can take. If you feel like, for example, you have problems with addiction, then you can start reading about it. You can go to support groups, AA meetings, or just simply sitting in trying to meditate or do some yoga. Try to listen to your own soul telling you what's best for you, because that's what I also understood, that I'm my own healer. Like, it's there's not nobody's gonna heal me. Nobody is gonna tell me how to get better. That I have to listen to myself, and then after a while, yeah, then I knew what I have to do. And each it's hard to give general recommendation, because each one of us is different, and each one of us has its own way. For me, maybe it was walking long distances. For somebody, can be going on a bike. For somebody, would be just like using a vacuum cleaner to be in the meditation, or wash your dishes and just being present. Like, there's no better or worse way, and you don't have to do extreme sports and have the Guinness World Records in order to feel that you are special and so good. Like, what I find out right now with my life, it's just the daily course and daily things which I enjoy makes my life beautiful. Like, I don't use Roomba to vacuum. Like, I enjoy going and cutting the grass and doing manual work and vacuuming and washing the dishes and stuff like that. And like, and those things and those moments when I'm with them and I'm just doing like the best I can to wash the dish or something like that, that's what makes the life special for me. So it's also not about, like, I also, after 4 Guinness World Records and doing extreme sports, I understood that you don't have to, climb Mount Everest in order to feel that you make a difference. And then you can do small things, and by doing small things, you can change the world and change yourself.
Pavel, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing all this knowledge and expertise. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule. If people want to learn more, where can they find you? Where can they follow along?
I have an account on social media. It's under my name, Pawel Durakiewicz. I hope you can maybe make a link, and same is in Instagram, TikTok, and also we have a fan page for the foundation. If somebody wants to support us, it's Diamond Soul Foundation, diamondsoul.org, or on the social media also under Diamond Soul, or on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Excellent. I'll put links to what Pavel shared in the show notes. And thanks everyone for listening to this episode of the 10 Adventures podcast. We'll be back next week to explore the world and hear about more epic adventures. Bye-bye. Start planning your own adventure by visiting us at 10adventures.com and listen to other episodes of the 10 Adventures podcast on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you find your podcasts.